The world is watching the Red Sea, where pirate attacks have returned with modern fury. Drones and missiles now strike cargo ships, threatening a vital artery of global trade. Shipping companies are rerouting vessels, adding huge costs and delays. But behind these headlines is Yemen, a nation devastated by a decade of war. The Houthis, behind the attacks, rule much of Yemen and use these strikes to tighten their grip on power. Millions face starvation, and a generation knows only war. This is not just geopolitics. It's a human story about the future of 30 million people. The real battle is for Yemen's future. The world cannot afford to look away. Yemen's fate hangs in the balance. The Houthis, formerly known as Ansar Allah, are a powerful armed movement rooted in Yemen's Zaidi Shia tradition. They began as a small revivalist group in the 1990s, protesting government corruption and Saudi influence. Their slogan, "Death to America, Death to Israel," signals their anti-Western stance. Years of war with the Yemeni government hardened them, especially after their founder's death in 2004. Led by Abdul Malik al-Houthi, they tapped into anger over poverty and foreign interference, gaining support in the north. In 2014, they seized Yemen's capital, Sana'a, forcing the president to flee and plunging the country into civil war. A Saudi-led coalition intervened in 2015, fearing Iranian influence, but the Houthis survived relentless bombing and blockade. Today, they control much of northwestern Yemen, including Sana'a and the key port of Hodeidah. They run their own government and institutions, ruling over most of Yemen's population. The US and others accuse Iran of arming the Houthis, a charge Iran denies, but their advanced weaponry suggests outside help. Yemen's civil war has become a proxy conflict between regional powers. The Houthis' rise is a product of local grievances and global rivalries. Their power is now entrenched. Understanding the Houthis is key to understanding Yemen's crisis. They are no longer just rebels, they are rulers. In late 2023, the Houthis grabbed global attention by attacking ships in the Red Sea, claiming to support Palestinians in the Israel-Hamas war. The Red Sea is a critical trade route. 12% of global trade passes through it daily. The Houthis' attacks using missiles, drones, and even helicopters were sophisticated and targeted high-profile vessels. Their seizure of the Galaxy Leader was broadcast as propaganda, showing their reach and resolve. Soon, ships with no clear Israeli ties were also targeted, spreading fear and chaos. Major shipping companies suspended Red Sea routes, sending costs and delays soaring worldwide. The Houthis' message, "No ship is safe." After US and UK retaliatory strikes, the Houthis expanded their targets to American and British ships, turning the Red Sea into a conflict zone. These attacks are about more than trade. They're a bid for international legitimacy and domestic support. By confronting Israel and the West, the Houthis position themselves as defenders of the Palestinian cause and key players in the regional axis of resistance. The Red Sea is now a front line in a wider conflict. The world's economy is caught in the crossfire. The siege has only just begun. The world couldn't ignore the threat to global trade. In December 2023, the US launched Operation Prosperity Guardian, a multinational naval force to protect shipping in the Red Sea. Warships from several nations began intercepting Houthi missiles and drones. But the attacks continued, forcing the US and UK to escalate with airstrikes on Houthi targets in Yemen. These strikes aimed to degrade the Houthis' capabilities, hitting missile sites and weapons depots. The intervention was controversial. Some called it necessary self-defense. Others warned it could worsen Yemen's humanitarian crisis and strengthen the Houthis' domestic support. The Houthis used the strikes to rally their base, painting themselves as victims of Western aggression. The international community was divided, with many urging diplomacy over escalation. Despite the strikes, the Houthis remain resilient, continuing their campaign, though at times with less frequency. The Red Sea is now an active front in a regional conflict. The standoff continues, with no clear end in sight. The world's response has disrupted some attacks, but not ended the threat. The stakes for global trade and regional stability remain high. The conflict is far from over. While the world watched the Red Sea, the Houthis marked 10 years since seizing Sana'a. In a decade, they've transformed from insurgents to rulers, consolidating power over Yemen's most populated areas. They've built a parallel government, staffed ministries, and run security forces. For millions, the Houthis are the only authority. They've dismantled old state structures, replacing them with loyalists and a powerful security apparatus. Courts legitimize their rule and punish dissent. Their survival against the Saudi-led coalition has boosted their image as defenders against foreign invaders. Holding the capital and surviving years of war, they project strength and permanence. The Houthi state is now deeply entrenched, with new social codes, education reforms, and media control. They're not just governing, they're building a state for generations. The dream of a unified Yemen grows more distant. The Houthis are no longer just a militia. They are the rulers of North Yemen. Their rule is reshaping the country's future. Yemen's division is becoming permanent. The Houthis have launched a brutal crackdown on civil society, arresting dozens of aid workers since May 2024. These workers, vital to delivering food and medicine, now operate in fear or not at all. The Houthis accuse them of espionage, broadcasting forced confessions to justify the repression. This is classic authoritarianism, delegitimizing independent organizations and silencing dissent. Local civil society groups, once lifelines for peace and development, are being dismantled. The Houthis see any independent voice as a threat to their control. By shutting down NGOs and arresting staff, they ensure only their narrative is heard. The impact is devastating. The social fabric is unraveling, and hope for a pluralistic Yemen is fading. Civil society was building bridges and training future leaders. Its destruction deepens Yemen's fragmentation and makes reconciliation harder. The crackdown is a strategic move to secure Houthi rule indefinitely. Yemen without civil society is a Yemen without a voice. The cost is a silenced, fractured nation. The Houthi crackdown hits women and youth hardest. New rules restrict women's freedom, requiring male guardians for travel and erasing their role in public life. Female activists and aid workers are targeted, silencing leaders who once advocated for peace and inclusion. The message is clear: women have no place in the public sphere. This harms not just women, but Yemen's prospects for peace and recovery. The Houthis also control education, rewriting curricula and using schools for indoctrination and recruitment. Summer camps train boys for future combat, while media pumps out propaganda. By shaping what children learn and see, the Houthis are molding a loyal, militarized generation. Alternative ideas struggle to survive. The repression of women and indoctrination of youth are two sides of the same coin, a strategy to build an authoritarian society. The future is being shaped by force, not choice. Yemen's next generation is growing up in a closed world. The cost will be felt for years to come. Beneath the bombs, Yemen is fighting an economic war. The Houthis and the recognized government are locked in a struggle for control of the banking sector, splitting Yemen into two economic zones. Each side has its own central bank and currency, deepening the country's fragmentation. The currency war escalated in 2024, with rival banknotes and new currencies causing chaos. This isn't just about policy, it's about power. Controlling banks means controlling aid money and remittances, vital lifelines for Yemen. The crackdown on NGOs is partly about seizing this flow of funds. For ordinary Yemenis, the economic war is a disaster. Savings destroyed, salaries inaccessible, businesses paralyzed. Food prices have soared, and daily life is a struggle. Two currencies and two banks make reunification seem impossible. The fight for economic control is pushing Yemen deeper into poverty and division. The country's collapse is accelerating. Yemen's future is at stake. Yemen stands at the edge. 10 years of war have shattered the nation. Houthi actions at sea and on land push it closer to collapse. The world's focus on Red Sea attacks distracts from the deeper crisis within. Military strikes alone can't solve Yemen's problems. They risk entrenching the Houthis and fueling more violence. The crackdown on civil society, women, and youth is destroying hope for a free, open Yemen. The economic war is tearing the country apart, making unity a distant dream. Yemen is not just in crisis, it's being dismantled. The world must care, not just for oil prices, but for 30 million lives. A military solution will fail. Only a determined push for a political settlement offers hope. This means holding all sides accountable and supporting a massive, unconditional humanitarian effort. Most of all, it means listening to Yemenis risking everything for peace. Without this, Yemen's descent into darkness will continue. The world cannot afford to look away.